Well, welcome to our first WeGo.One Advisory Council. And today we have with us Craig Mercer from our team. And we're super excited to have you, Craig. And we've got also with us someone maybe you haven't met yet, our secretary for the sessions, Angelina Sinicola will be our note taker, and we'll be recording all the things we talk about so you can get a report for the whole team. And of course, we have John Lee, who is our fearless leader here with us today to kind of talk through some of the things we're trying to accomplish and go from there. But we've got some big announcements. One of them is that we are in a development right now of the MyStreme service, which is a aggregator of the many services you like to stream. And we now have technology that's in its early development phase. And we're going to go over and take a little peek at that. So we've got some exciting opportunities with that today. Let me just start out with giving you an opportunity to introduce yourself, Craig. What brought you to this team with the investments at One Door Studios?
It's a combination of having been an initial investor in Calculated and then Calculated Series, and then saw MyStreme, and to have opportunities like this and not have to be an approved or accredited investor. Just have that opportunity that consumers typically don't have in these sort of development processes.
It is the day of the consumer, and it's just so exciting to see companies and people stepping up and showing what can happen if you take the initiative. If the people get behind it, it goes up and over the top.
Yeah, we've been working on a roadmap, and one of the things I'll show you just a quick peek of an idea in this roadmap, and just so you can see some of the content we've got here. So the aggregation is taking all of your content. The curation is then narrowing that content by ratings, genres, and then narrowing further by prioritization, machine learning, the technologies in version 3. And then ultimately the filtering starts giving you the ability to see that content the way you would want to see it. We have Martha Miller joining us from the advisory council as well, and super excited for Martha to join us. What brought you into the community?
This is something that's always excited me, but I'm more in a position now to where I can do a little bit of this, here and there. And I do love your company.
Well, thanks for stepping out and stepping into our world as well.
I'd love to show you. I'm going to go back to screen share mode and just share you a little bit behind the curtain of what is going on in our development roadmap. This is what we would call at this stage of the game a mock-up. While they're currently working on kind of a dummy effect, and there's some technology that's actually live right now, this is our next iteration. So we're giving you a little peek what's coming before it actually goes live. This is what we call a carousel. And so this carousel can be set up to go multiple ways. Our vision is to have an ability to do 5 up or even 6, even I think in this variation, when you click this button, 12 up. So you can see more at once. And then you have, as you scroll, and you get to see, and this is on a PC version, for example, it'll scroll to your overview and information. And then you have additional carousels down here. What we're looking at that we think is very exciting and new, you're not going to see a lot of this out there, is the ability to have what we're calling fan channels. So this example, Everything Sci-Fi. Everything Sci-Fi is it's a social community of people who love science fiction movies, and they're very big into certain types of content. They can now come into this community and aggregate content for their community, for the people who follow them. Or you could create your own ability to kind of share with your friends and family members. This is the content we like to watch. And so each one of these, what we call carousels, might have a different set of content beyond genre. And so now we can create these kind of curated libraries where the social communities can come together and then rank it, and then what we call hype it. There are different ways to create libraries. There's the carousel approach where you're just seeing the images. And this is more of a description approach where you have one image, one key art of that title, plus a little bit of information about it. This would be what it would feel like when you get in the mobile device and you get to, play your content. You might get a little bit more information. This could be information that's on all devices, your TV or your PC, Rotten Tomato rankings, Dove rankings, right, so it gets eventually to your TV screen, and this would be, you can see how the design changes based on, the application. And in a screen device, you're going to make things a little bigger. You're going to feel a little more grandiose because you want to get it big enough that you can read it from across the room. And then you have your channels, like we're talking about, the fan channels or whatever they might be. This would be really not much different from what you saw a second ago, but that gives you an idea how that feels. On a big screen, you're still going to want content. Learn more about it here. You can see here, this one adds not only the ranking or the rating, the 5-star ranking, the 88 score on Rotten Tomatoes, but 523,000 likes in Facebook. Which of these headings would you hope to see first?
I personally think fresh, because even though I know what I'm likely going to go on looking for, what's come out in the last 14 days that is potentially trending.
So let me ask you this: what would you hope for us to be able to provide on version 1? What we're calling an MVP, minimum viable product. We can't have every feature at once. So if we had to have one thing that just really was valuable to you, what would you say is most important?
The first thing I do with any streaming service is I search for shows and I start creating my favorites list, because then and then once I get through my favorites list, then I'll start looking at trending and so forth. So I think the ability to search and create that initial favorite list is key, especially in the first iteration.
Would you, if you had a list, let's say you had your own fan channel of content, would you potentially share that with your friends or tell your buddies, hey, you should check out my list? I've really spent some time curating some good content.
I do it with Yelp. I'm a Yelp elite, and I create categories of, hey, you should try this, or hey, I need to try this. And then I share that with lots of people. Is that something MyStreme is going to be able to do, where we can actually connect with other users? So that way, if they wanted to share sort of a community carousel with their friends, or, identify someone as a friend or someone as a family, you can say, hey, go ahead and allow this. So anyone who connects with me as a family member, they can see these groups that I've created of curated material compared to, hey, friends, or you know what, I'll just make it public. I'll create something, but I'll make it public. So that way you don't have to be a friend or a family. We can just allow anyone to connect with you, and then they can see all these different curated carousels that you've created.
Wow, that's a feature we did not think. So you've got a private channel and you got a public channel. So you can have your own watch list that's for you, that you don't want others to share. But if you make it public, now it's available to everyone. And that's a brilliant idea.
I noticed, like, when I'm on Netflix, I want to check in the movie and it sounds interesting, and all of a sudden I get to it, it's in another language. It doesn't advise me ahead of time it's going to be in a different language, and I don't like that, because then it gets stuck on continue watching.
That's true. Both of those things are really important comments, because I've noticed that, even though we stopped watching it maybe halfway through the first episode or early in the movie, but then it stays there reminding us that we wasted that time in our life to find out that it was something we didn't want to see. So you read something, there's a little summary or whatever, and you say, oh, that sounds really intriguing. You go to it, and maybe it's subtitled, it's actually in German, or it's in Korean or whatever. But good point. If there was an early warning that just says, this is subtitled from whatever, that would let you, before you get into it, make a decision. So smart. Two good points.
We are excited about it because we think this is a great marketing strategy. We've already got 19,000 what we call fans that are in the community. If those fans aggregate into the community and each create their own libraries, and then those fans share those libraries, think about the marketing capability of that. It's like the fans can control the message. And then the content that you want, will you share with your friends and your family, becomes what the content is demanded within the system to create more of. It's bottom up, where it's saying, this is what the crowd wants to watch. Now we're asking you to make more of it.
So, it's sort of like bringing social media into it from a connection standpoint. And then based on how you label them, determines what curated material you're willing to share with them that you've put together.
So 3 levels. You have the private labeling, you have the social community, my friends labeling, and then you have the public labeling. So then you take it to 3 different levels, depending on, whether you want the library to be just for you and your family or yourself, and then extending to the entire community.
Exactly. We're marketing what we like to others, and then they're then turn around, and when we become sort of that trusted advisor, those of us that are elites in Yelp, we're trusted advisors because we've taken we have to reach a certain status, a number of reviews and so forth before we can obtain that status. So therefore, as a trusted advisor, we become sort of that marketing tool of, hey, if he likes it and I know I like what he likes, maybe I need to then start adding it to my favorites or something.
I love that you mentioned that you've got badges in Yelp. I'm a badge dude myself. And so these are the little badges I get in my Yelp. So these are the things that I love these. It doesn't cost them anything to give these to me. And it doesn't cost anything for us to give it to people, like the true Yelper. I got this badge. So I would love to be able to badge the users and the fans, give them some kind of recommendation and say, these guys are leading the charge. That would be super fun, wouldn't it?
Someone's like, I bet you don't have this badge. And you're like, oh, I want that badge, but I have to watch an hour's worth of movies in order to get it. And, it's gamifying it in a sense that all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've got to earn that badge. Or on my watch, I'm like, oh, I'm 2 minutes away from getting my 30 minutes of exercise. So let me start a walk, and I'm going to go walk for 2 minutes just so I can close that circle, sort of thing.
Yeah.
To that point, we need a badge for the people who watch a lot of exercise programming. Most informed for all the news watchers, Star Wars fans who have watched the most amount of Star Wars content. You just literally added features. I don't know where we're finding the budget for this, guys. But these features are amazing. We've got to find a way to get them in the roadmap.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. So what a roadmap is, it tells you, okay, so today we know we're going to get a minimum viable product into the market. It can do movie search. Okay, really boring, but it can do it. That's our goal. And then step 2, we add a little bit more of the curation where we narrow. And then eventually we start adding these really cool bells and whistles like we're talking about. So we're engaging our fans early so we can say, we need to get on this wave and keep moving it forward together as we have these features. But I would love to put it on a roadmap as if not 6 months out, a year out, we can add these types of things after everything else is working. And we're using a forum like this to start talking about it and start eking out some of it. Some will just clip out because some of these things are too cool to give everybody up. But other of these things, we're going to say, hey, let's let the community know what we're working on.
One of the things when it first comes out will it include profiles? So I can make sure that my daughter's not all of a sudden curating stuff on my profile that I don't typically watch.
Version 1, the MVP won't have profiles because we've looked at it and it's not there, but it will be on one of the iterations as we get further down the road. Yes. And there won't be just 4. So we're going to make enough so that big families can actually have their own logins. But any last words, John, before we kick off?
So we appreciate you and your, I'm sure you can tell, your contributions are just really crucial in this process. We get together as a group and we need more input, and the advisory council, this becomes really valuable. So thank you. Thanks for attending, and we'll look forward to more of these.
We appreciate your time. This was a super fun conversation. We literally just added features and thousands of dollars of development in this conversation alone. So it was so much fun, and the ideas were just brilliant. And this is why we have this forum, because we want to hear your ideas. We want to make sure we're implementing them and putting them, as we say, on the roadmap. And at each stage, we'll introduce the new features as they arrive and as they're put into the plan. And we thank you for your time. And we look forward to the next one with our advisory council. And we will be talking about Calculate in our upcoming advisory council, which is a super exciting story with all we're doing with AI, and the AI co-creation community has taken fire.